Alrighty, party peoples of the interwebs, in tonight's episode of Confession Through Projection, you want to know who the true threat to democracy is?
It's Jamie Raskin.
Viva Frei, former Montreal litigator turned current Florida rumbler in my home office, and if I look a little more irritated than usual, it's because I am. You might recall that a month or two ago, there was a video of Jamie Raskin that went viral. It was a clip of him saying, yeah, if Donald Trump gets elected, we might have to disqualify him come January 5th because we as Congress declare that he's been disqualified, and sure, it's going to piss off a bunch of Trump supporters, but they're going to have to understand, and we're going to descend into a civil war conditions. These are his words. I'm going to play the clip right now in case you missed it.
What can be put into the Constitution can slip away from you very quickly. And the greatest example going on right now before our very eyes is Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which they're just disappearing with a magic wand, as if it doesn't exist, even though it could not be clearer what it's stating. And so, they want to kick it to Congress. So it's going to be up to us on January 6, 2025, to tell the rampaging Trump mobs that he's disqualified. And then we need bodyguards for everybody in civil war conditions, all because the 9 justices, not all of them, but these justices who have not many cases to look at every year, not that much work to do, a huge staff, great protection, simply do not want to do their job and interpret what the great 14th Amendment means.
Well, I went and found the full context of that statement. It was in a 1-hour-plus conference that Raskin gave in front of a crowd at a place called Politics and Prose. Apparently, it's where authors and politicians give speeches and talk to people at this world-famous bookstore called Politics and Prose. I listened to that statement in context, and in context, it's even worse than it sounded in that viral clip. Stick around to the end of the vlog, and I'm going to play that 2-minute clip. It is 2 statements conjoined in fuller context so you can understand just what Raskin said. And yes, I'm calling him Raskin because he is a rat enveloped in human skin. In the movie Private Parts where the guy was called Pig Vomit because he looked like a pig and he made you want to vomit?
His name is Pig Vomit. Yes, because he looks like a pig and he makes you want to vomit. It's Pig Vomit.
Jamie Raskin is a rat enveloped in human skin. All right, let me get down to this. Jamie Raskin, among others, has the audacity of referring to Donald Trump as a threat to democracy, as a tyrant, as a man who would weaponize the judicial process to go after his political rivals. This is coming from a man who is part of a regime that has gone after Donald Trump since his first day in office with the fake Russiagate hoax, with impeachment 1, with impeachment 2, resulting in acquittal 1 and acquittal 2. And not for nothing, acquittal 2 was based on the idea of the insurrection. It'll come back because when Jamie Raskin is talking about disqualifying Trump under the 14th Amendment, 3rd paragraph, it has to do with having participated in insurrection. So bookmark for the moment that Donald Trump was actually acquitted on allegations of having participated in that January 6th insurrection, which was actually a January 6th Fedsurrection. Russiagate hoax, impeachment hoax 1, impeachment hoax 2, and then they went after lawfare in every corrupt state where they could. New York, Georgia, D.C., Colorado. They tried to bankrupt Donald Trump in that bullcrap defamation case by that batshit crazy lady, E. Jean Carroll. They tried to bankrupt Donald Trump in that Leticia James nipple judge Engoron $450 million fraud case in which there was no fraud and no victim. They are trying to lock him up in that bullcrap Judge Merchan case, the 34-count felony for a bookkeeping mistake, if that. Then you got the D.C. garbage. Then you got the Colorado where they tried to boot him from the ballot on the basis of a self-executing disqualification clause in the Constitution, and that is the broader context in which Jamie Raskin gives this statement before a crowd of sycophants who are all too happy to hear it. The context of this clip is that it comes on the eve of the Supreme Court decision, and Jamie Raskin is explaining why he didn't sleep well the night before because he's concerned that if the Supreme Court doesn't do what it has to do, that being disqualify Donald Trump on the basis of a self-executing Article 14, subparagraph 3, that if they don't do their job and they kick it to Congress after Trump gets elected, but before the inauguration day when it comes time to certify the vote, then Congress is going to have to just declare Trump disqualified, and sure, it's going to upset a bunch of Trump supporters, and it might result in civil war conditions where people are going to need extra security. These are Raskin's words, not mine. It's going to have to be done because the Supreme Court was too lazy to do what Jamie Raskin thought they needed to do in all of his judicial wisdom. As it panned out, the Supreme Court came down 9-0 and said, no, the Article 14 subparagraph 3 disqualification is not self-executing. It's not up to the states to unilaterally declare that a presidential candidate is disqualified, thus disenfranchising half of the country of their vote. It's not self-executing. It's something Congress needs to do, by way of impeachment or other congressional act. Now, in reality, I'm not sure what other act of Congress it could be other than impeachment, which would disqualify someone from holding office on a going forward basis. You know, the impeachment like they tried the first time on that bullcrap hoax of a quid pro quo, and like they tried the second time on the insurrection, Fedsurrection. They tried to convict him on that. He got impeached and he got acquitted, and yet somehow some rogue idiots in some rogue states decided that it was their unilateral right to disqualify Trump from the ballot, even though he had already been acquitted on those very allegations. Set that aside, Raskin is out there pontificating on the eve of the judgment. If that doesn't put a little pressure on these judges, on the eve of the judgment, saying if they don't do their job, well, we're just going to have to disqualify him. Not before the election, but after the election, if he wins, we are going to unilaterally disqualify him after having failed to impeach him not once but twice. Jamie Raskin says this, and he says this without hesitation, loud and proud. Yeah, we're just going to have to go ahead and do it, and sure, it might result in civil war conditions, but that's what we have to do in order to preserve democracy. These people are accusing Trump of being a threat to democracy, of being an authoritarian, of never leaving power if he ascends to power a second time because he was so bad at leaving power the first time. These are the people trying to lawfare Donald Trump, trying to impeach Donald Trump, trying to Russiagate hoax Donald Trump into not being able to be president, and when all of that fails, trying to kill Donald Trump not once but twice, and then he comes out and says, well, this was before the assassination attempts. In fairness to Jamie Raskin, they come out and say, yeah, if he gets elected, we're disqualifying him, and they accuse Trump of being the threat to democracy.
Are you fucking retarded? The hell's the matter with you?
This is absolute insanity. I don't understand how Jamie Raskin still has a position in government. I don't understand how he hasn't been sanctioned for these statements. These statements are lawlessness. These statements are reckless. These statements are the threat to democracy that they accuse Trump of being. And if you had any doubts, I'm going to play you the clip in their fuller context right now so you can bask in all of the insurrection madness coming out of Jamie Raskin's mouth. But before you do that, make sure that you have taken 3 seconds to like, share, subscribe, turn on notifications, share my content with someone who you think would like it, but share it with someone who you think would not because they need to hear it the most. If you want to support the channel, you can get merch at Viva Frei. You can support the work we do at vivabarneslaw.locals.com. More important than anything, exercise, eat healthy, talk to people in real life, and now revel in the madness coming out of Jamie Raskin's mouth, and I dare say share this loud, proud, and vocally with a hashtag of, I don't know, I'm not very good at hashtags, I don't know, sanction Raskin. Does that work? Whatever. You know what to do. Now you know your vlog. Peace out, peeps. Booyah!
But last night, I was most worried about the Supreme Court's prospective imminent abdication of its very clear duty to disqualify Donald Trump from the ballot under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, and what that might mean if their decision says that it's really up to Congress on January 5th or January 6th, 2025, to disqualify him at the counting of the Electoral College votes, which really could lead to something akin to civil war, if that's what the suggestion is, which is what I think I heard when I went to the oral argument, that they themselves were unwilling to rule whether or not the Colorado Supreme Court was correct in finding that he had engaged in insurrection on January 6, 2021. So, but that was just last night's worry. So the court is not going to save us. And so that means the only thing that really works is people in motion amending the Constitution. But again, it's necessary, but it's not sufficient, because what can be put into the Constitution can slip away from you very quickly. And the greatest example going on right now before our very eyes is Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which they're just disappearing with a magic wand, as if it doesn't exist, even though it could not be clearer what it's stating. And so, they want to kick it to Congress, so it's going to be up to us on January 6, 2025, to tell the rampaging Trump mobs that he's disqualified. And then we need bodyguards for everybody and civil war conditions, all because the 9 justices, not all of them, but these justices who have not many cases to look at every year, not that much work to do, a huge staff, great protection, simply do not want to do their job and interpret what the great 14th Amendment means. And I'm glad that Sherilyn's creating her new center so we can bring that back to life, even as we're continuing to amend the Constitution, as Professor Hassan has invited us to do.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you, everybody. We've run out of time.